Hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. This is a channel where I typically like to make videos about books as well as videos about homeschooling, mostly book related. So today's video is kind of a book haul as well as my spring TBR. I picked up a number of books off of Book Outlet, and in the springtime I tend to be drawn towards historical fiction, but I also picked up a number of books off of my book lists. So I'm launching a series next week that I'm really excited about, so stay tuned. Look for a video, especially my introductory video should come up on Sunday, and I will explain more about my book list, but some of these books that you see today will also be on those lists. So let me jump in. The first book I picked up was The Book Thief, which I've heard so many good things about this and I've been wanting to pick it up for a while. It is a middle grade book, so it's told through a younger girl. I believe Death is the narrator of this book, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out or really what the purpose is, but I've heard really interesting things about that. And so this girl was recently orphaned. I believe she even loses her younger brother on the way kind of to her foster parents, and then she has some foster parents to take her in Germany, I believe. And then she starts stealing books. I think at first it wasn't on purpose, and then as the book goes on, she starts doing it more with purpose and intention. And the cool kind of thing about this is she didn't know how to read when she first started stealing books, but her foster father, I guess, teaches her. And that's just kind of a neat thing. That's a lot of patience. I'm currently teaching my son how to read, and there's a lot of patience in teaching a child to read. So that just sounds very endearing to me that the foster father would do that. And so this is, I hear, quite a tearjerker, but I'm really looking forward to reading it. Okay, the second book is also one that I have seen around a lot, that I have been recommended, and that's Nevermore. And I was recommended this because I love Harry Potter, and it has some flavors of Harry Potter, is what I hear, which I'm not holding it to be exactly like Harry Potter. That's not possible, but I've heard really good things about this. So this is, I believe, a YA book. It's called Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. And the basics of this book is that Morgan has, she lives in a town where unfortunate things seem to happen, and for some reason the townspeople blame her for those things. So she is not living a very wonderful life. The appearance of a man named Jupiter, he comes and he takes her away to this new world, Nevermore, to a school or a training program that has to do with magic. She doesn't believe she has any magic, but then she's thrown into this competition that is pretty crazy, I guess. And she's competing against some other kids, and it's a little less heartwarming. It's like Harry Potter, where they're like encouraged and taught. This is more like, do it or you'll get kicked out, I believe. Anybody that I know who has read it has really liked it. So I'm looking forward to this one as just kind of a good story to get lost into. Okay, the third book I have picked up recently is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jeminsin. And this I picked up for a book club, an online book club I am doing over with Emily at ARG Schooling. I'll link her YouTube channel below. She's great, and I love her book clubs. And this one's a science fiction. She was in the mood for science fiction, and so everybody picked this one. This probably is a book that is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm intrigued by it. Basically, it's a story of a post-apocalyptic world. And there's this family, and there's this mom, and she is trying to reunite her family. They get separated or kidnapped. The daughter goes missing, and so this mom is going through terrible things because I guess this is like the final straw on this planet. There's ash covering it. There's terrible things have happened. So she has to overcome some serious obstacles to try to reunite her family. So I've heard some very interesting things about this, that this is just kind of an intense book, and the setup of this post-apocalyptic world is just really intricate and interesting is what I've heard, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'm gonna give this one a shot. All right, so the fourth book I picked up was a Susan Meissner book, and I didn't even know what this was about, but Susan Meissner is the author of As Bright as Heaven, which I've been raving about. I talked about in my March wrap-up video that I just loved it. It was such a good book. And so I picked this up because I really liked her book, so I want to see if I really like her as an author. And so this book is called A Bridge Across the Oceans. And from what I understand, this is during a time just past World War II. There are a number of women who want to basically start a new life. And so they volunteer to be kind of put on this boat to be sent to America as war wives, I think is what they're referred to as. And then something happens because it says when the voyage ends at the New York harbor, only one of them will disembark. This is a dual timeline book, so it does focus on that 1946, just past the war time frame, but also present day. This woman in present day named Brett, who is trying to solve this mystery of what happened to this boat, what happened on this boat, why were there not very many people who were able to exit this boat. I like dual timeline books. I think they're really interesting to kind of piece out a mystery. So I'm looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I really like Susan Meissner as a favorite author. This next one I picked up pretty much on recommendation from Angela over at Literature Science Alliance. I'll link her below. And the book is Mistborn. It's a Brandon Sanderson book, and I've heard a lot about Brandon Sanderson. I have yet to read one of his books, and this one was $3 at book outlets, so I picked it up. It definitely sounds a little confusing from kind of the back. So my understanding of this book is that this book starts at during a time frame that the people in this world have been kind of enslaved by an evil lord of sorts for like 1,000 years. Like it's a real terrible place. It's a terrible place to live. And then there's this group of people, a brilliant criminal mastermind, plus orphan girl, and they get this group together to try and overthrow this evil lord. I think that's what happens. This is the first in a number of books, and I'm pretty sure this is the first one. I hope this is the first one. But anyway, I'm looking forward to trying it. I mean, so many people talk about these books that I'm just really curious if it's something that I like, if I like this kind of high fantasy, very detailed world or not. The next book I picked up is an Agatha Christie book. I've been wanting to read her books, so I have a couple on my list that I want to read. The first is The Murder on the Orient Express, and this is a Hercule Poirot book, one of his mysteries. I think it's like the 10th one or something like that. She has a lot in her series, and I have not seen the movie, so I want to read the book first, and then I want to see the movie because it looks really good. And so this is basically a story about a murder on a train. So the train gets stopped in the middle of nowhere due to snow drifting, and then there is a man, I think he's a rich American man, that is found dead in his compartment, and it's locked, the door's locked from the inside, and so there's kind of a murder that has to be solved. Who did it? How did this man die? And who's responsible of all the people on the train? So I love stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to kind of cracking into my first Agatha Christie book. So the next book I picked up, I really liked the cover, and I've seen a number of people read it, and it sounded really interesting. So it's called Once Upon a River by Diane Sutterfield. And she's the author of The 13th Tale, which is on my list, one of my lists that I talked about at the beginning. So this book looks really interesting. Basically, there is this inn on the River Thames, so Once Upon a River, where one night a man bursts into the inn, and he's carrying this little girl in his arms. She's supposedly dead, or she's unresponsive, and he's almost dead, sort of idea. And he comes in there, and then hours later, she comes back to life. That's kind of the mystery, is like, is there like magic involved? Is it like science? What happened? And then she wakes up, but she's also mute, and she can't tell her story. She can't tell who she is. And for some reason, there seems to be a number of families who think they have a claim on her. They think that she is theirs, and so the story kind of is about that. It's about these three families and all of their like secrets and all this stuff, because she can't belong to all three families. So who does she belong to, and why are these other families interested in her? So what exactly is going on? So that is what this book's about, and I think that just sounds really interesting. So I'm looking forward to this one. Okay, the next book I got is a Kate Morton book, which I've read The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton, and I really liked it. And so I wanted to pick up another one of hers. And like I said, I kind of like historical fiction in the springtime. So this one is called The Clockmaker's Daughter. And this is another dual timeline. I think Kate Morton is pretty known for her dual timelines. And it starts in the summer of 1862, where a group of artists go to this big, elaborate manor. And I think the idea was they were all gathering together to kind of enhance creativity and come up with all these amazing things, but that goes south. So something happens. So one woman is dead, and then some priceless heirlooms are missing. And so that's kind of the story in the late 1800s. And then of course it flashes to present day. A young archivist in the modern day comes across some of these things, comes across, I think, a sketchbook and maybe a photograph of the manor and these artists. I'm not sure exactly what she sees, but it starts her down the path of figuring out this story of what happened that summer and kind of hopefully, I think, probably solving the mystery. So I'm looking forward to this. I really enjoy her books, and so I want to see if this is another one that I like. And so the next book I picked up off of Book Outlet is a Lisa Jewell book. So her name has come across a number of times. I think The Family Upstairs I want to read. I haven't read any of her books yet. I just recognize her name from a number of different reviews. And so I saw this one on Book Outlet, and so I picked it up just to see if I like her writing style. So she's known for more like thriller and mystery type books. And this one's called Watching You. And this one's about a neighborhood. I believe it's a rich neighborhood. It's a home to a lot of different like doctors and lawyers and just really the elite of the society. It's about the neighbors in the neighborhood and how everybody seems to have assumptions about one another or secrets, and everybody has secrets and everybody thinks they know each other's secrets, and it sounds like this kind of interconnected web of lies and secrets. So it sounds good. I actually don't know much more than that, but I don't think I should. If it's a thriller, I'd rather go in a little bit more blind. So I'm looking forward to testing out if I like Lisa Jewell. And the last book I picked up is called Winterhouse by Ben Guterson. And this is a middle grade mystery novel. And I saw someone recommend this and I just thought it looked really cute and I wanted to read it just so that I could potentially read it to my kids. I want to see when I should read this to them because I love mysteries and it would be really fun to get them into mysteries. And so this could be a really fun read aloud, was my thoughts, but I'll see. So basically this book is about a girl, she's an orphan, and her aunt and uncle send her to this hotel. It's called Winterhouse Hotel. And I think what happens is that she goes exploring and she finds a book in this massive library. It's kind of a magical book that talks about different puzzles and solving different mysteries. And what she finds out is that there's this like big mystery, I think. There's a big curse on the house or something to that notion, and that she is, for some reason, integral in solving it. So she's never been here before, she's never heard of this place, and she suddenly becomes thrown into this world of solving this curse on this house. So it sounds so interesting. So that's the last book I have for this book haul / spring TBR. So I'm looking forward to reading some of these in these upcoming months. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Please consider liking, subscribing, all of those things if you like what you see and you want to come back for more content. Have a wonderful day, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Okay, take care.